Welcome to Inside the Exchange, where we discuss entrepreneurship, business development, and how your business can succeed here in San Joaquin County. Click the link below to learn more. Now let's get into the episode. So, Cory, I wanted to thank you for coming on today's podcast, Inside the Exchange with the Builders Exchange of San Joaquin. You have been instrumental in our growth with our construction management series and also being a part of our Women in Construction Committee so we can launch our event next year. So how do you feel about our relationship? Is it two-sided or is it one?
It's definitely two-sided. So I love working with the Builders Exchange. I mean, besides the fact that you guys have an absolutely amazing facility for me to be able to teach at, we've had great engagement from your clients and your customers. So it's been an absolutely enjoyable experience. And the Women in Construction group has been just amazing powerhouses, every single one of those women, and just the energy in the room. You know, sometimes it's not often that you get powerful women like that are able to collaborate and really run fluidly in a room with the energy. And They are all just amazing women. So thank you so much for inviting me to be part of it.
Absolutely. And we didn't really have a true direction besides the fact that, we did have true direction, and that was to have an event to celebrate the women in construction. Because when you do leave those type of events of any type, you do leave with this sense of empowerment. You learn something that you didn't know. You find out that you're not alone in struggles. So you leave with something and maybe curiosity for something more. So necessarily, did we have a path in mind, or I had a path in mind, but obviously to have the event to celebrate, but then also to incorporate some activities. So you're just enjoying each other's company and exchange, stories and all sorts of stuff to either further us along or just give us a pat on the back, and then continue and also increasing the vision to our future workforce to get these girls involved and see the many benefits and help them through the struggles.
Well, which honestly was hard for me to get my head around, right?
I know. I'm a visionary.
I've never been in construction where I've just hung out with women to enjoy hanging out with women. It has been a competitive issue. Even women from the office versus women in the field interact with each other differently. Mm-hmm. And sometimes there's always been a cattiness or some insecurities that have created a tense situation for me. But the energy in the room of the women who you've collected are absolutely amazing. And so, the lack of structure in the beginning was, I know, frustrating for me, which made it frustrating for you because I kept asking all of these stupid questions.
No, it was just trying to figure out
organization and
how do we incorporate it? We had the crab feed coming up, and you guys were amazing. And we, came up with great suggestions for down the line and what we can handle and how we can handle and what we want at the end goal. And, just getting together, I didn't realize how many ladies would show up, and they showed up
every time.
And on a Monday, at 4:00, when I'm sure there's 1,000 things that we could be doing. Yeah. So extremely grateful for that. And then just how to navigate it within our current events and our office staff, but then also highlighting, these women. And then, our last meeting, we had a great discussion about mentorship. Mm-hmm. And it was just the idea of how someone with any type of experience within any type of field, and even, just home life, how to balance home life and work life, whether what field you're in, but just to take those skills and turn them into a mentorship when we don't always realize, like you say, there's the cattiness or the insecurities that some people have when they get into, and I think that happens within any profession, unfortunately. And that either is just something within themselves, and it's like, how can we help that? But, being able to coach and be a coach, we all are. We don't realize that power as well, and be able to highlight that and just take those conversations and allow them to take it back to their workplace, and it will kind of maybe lighten the load or change any energy that's going the wrong direction to maybe like, I can mentor, or I can look at it this way. It's a reflection, and as this develops, I really love that everybody's showing up and we're going to get there. And I feel like we're there. It's just navigating how we can play into
Yeah, I think that now that everybody kind of understands what the picture is, we have a master plan in place and that we can kind of tick away at it as we go. I think also coming into it with assumptions of thinking that because it's a women in construction group, that therefore it might just be just women and it might become this feminist movement or something, without recognizing that many of the powerful mentors in all of our lives have been men, and how important it is to be able to educate men on this new workforce that we're trying to create so that we can add the innovation and multitasking and creativity and innovation of women to the productivity of the linear focus of men. And I just think that, I know that my most powerful mentors were men. And I just think this is a great opportunity to be able to start really changing that with this group. Like
without realizing you're changing it.
Yeah.
It's that little
baby steps.
So that kind of brings us to a good question. How did you get into construction? I know, but not everybody else knows.
Yeah, well, it wasn't by choice. I really just did
anything by choice?
I'm learning the older I get that you can actually custom design your path in order to be able to create choices for yourself. But as a young person, I was just following the open doors. And the biggest open door for me was watching people my age working at the local restaurant for $8.25. And I was able to start working summers in construction for $19 an hour. And I had the protection of my 6'4", 300-pound dad. So I didn't have anybody messing with me. So I didn't get a lot of the negative aspect of construction that I hear a lot of other women are exposed to and triggered by. I was always protected. And so I got the best of the world. I got the brotherhood part. I got the part where we sat on the tailgates after work with a beer and we talked about what we were going to do because we were all living away from home, and we might have a trailer at the KOA, and then the rest of us were just trying to find something to kill time from 3:30 to 6.
You weren't necessarily a threat, so maybe that's where some of that scaredness comes from. With meeting with another employee that is not a female, maybe there is a threat to it. So how do you invite that environment where you're there, you're going to be there, your dad's introduced you, you're there, and deal with it.
I was just a laborer. And when I graduated from college, I went to Texas A&M and I came back expecting to go into animal science, equine science. And after that graduation, I had more student loans than I did that I was going to be making in an annual salary. So I was like, okay, let me go back and work construction, pay off my student loans. And as I was there, a senior construction manager that had also graduated, was an alumni of Texas A&M, heard that I had a degree and I was working as a laborer, and he brought me in the office and introduced me to construction management. And it changed my life. I was naturally very good at documentation, organization, and management.
Leading, because you have to have a leadership role.
But I would say, even though now looking at it, I understand the importance of leadership at every level, but I was 24 years old and I really felt that I didn't know anything. I didn't realize how much my life skills were transitioning my abilities into construction tasks. And so I really was just working with men doing what they told me to do, the subservient woman that I was, which is not my
And it paid well, and it wasn't...
It paid very well, but you
didn't have to fight for it.
But you have a fighting inside internally that's happening because you're used to standing up for what you think or what you say, but you don't know enough about it to really say anything because you might be out of line. But at the same time, what they're telling you to do might not be just right. You
have to navigate.
So it was some navigation for sure.
Well, and if you're young and new, they're kind of like, well, what can we get away with? Let's see what she'll do. Or even, obviously young interns, but.
Yeah, well, mine, they could get away with everything because I was closing out a $250 million project with my senior project manager, and he got a brain tumor. So it literally was only me and about 6 DSA inspectors. They were called OSA at the time, inspectors, and an old perverted superintendent with a cigar that came in every afternoon trying to teach me how to shape change orders, which now I can look back, they were all in his favor, but I didn't know what I was doing. And that was the first time actually that I had the elegance of a female mentor. And the director of the California Corrections was just an absolutely amazing woman. And I was just always so impressed by how the men really responded to her and reacted and listened. And I was like, that's the corporate woman that I want to be one day.
I know. And there is a navigation, and you can read the room, you know, if you're able to read a room, but there is a navigation of what you can play with and what you shouldn't play with when you do enter, you know, a situation. I've noticed that as a female, and being typically one of the few females in that class, but also wanting to be able to get what you need out of it, you know? So it's kind of how do you navigate? So there's a lot of navigation that goes into it without, you know, being overseen or overshadowed or not heard.
Yeah, it's one of those things that, again, as a 24-year-old, you're just, you know, taking everything in and you're doing everything. But as a matured person who now can mentor and reflect back, it's about knowing and understanding that you don't have to formulate a response in that moment. Just because somebody asked you a question, that it may not have really been an answer they were looking for. They may have simply just wanted to try to put you in your place. And so being able to take that moment of pause and being able to at least come back and say, you know, I'm sorry, I don't have all of the answers for you right now. If you give me a couple hours and let me research it, I'll get back to you by the end of the day.
Yeah.
And, you know, being able to have just a way to really do that interaction, but you can't do it unless you acknowledge it and are aware that it needs to happen in the first place. And I think that that's what's really important when we're mentoring young women, especially who want to move into the construction industry. They're told, oh, you can make $1 million. You can be an entrepreneur. This is the best industry ever. And nobody tells them, oh, by the way, you know, there's going to be pictures of you inside of the blue room and they're not going to be very pleasant. And people are going to be sexually harassing you all day, or they're going to be, you know, demeaning to you, or they're going to be thinking that you can't physically handle your portion. And so you don't belong out here. And so they're not prepared for that. And it's not that they wouldn't be able to handle it. It's just that it's a little bit more of a shock because no one made them aware that that could possibly happen. So if we prep them a little bit and really give them some understanding that, hey, the construction industry is amazing and there's amazing people in the construction industry. But you might come up against a wall every once in a while, and it might just be a bad taste in your mouth for 1 second. But don't let that one person steer your path.
Because it can happen within any career.
Any career.
Any level, any type of person that can really just, you know, it's obviously something with them and causing you an issue.
Exactly.
So when you talk about school, so you went to school for a different profession than the construction and the construction management that you teach now. So how would you navigate a senior graduating and has gone to trades day and just was over the moon, super excited? Would you suggest like, hey, do you want to go to school, get your AA, or would you say try to get boots in the ground and maybe go through an apprenticeship program? Like, what would be your suggestion, knowing kind of you went to college and not frowning against college? I never do, you know. And I think the great thing about school is that it's always there, because I've had I don't know if it's luxury, but I've had to work. I've always had to work. So I've had the ability to be able to put school in where it adapts here and there, but then I have to, you know, sometimes refocus back into work. So I was able to do the UC Davis construction management classes, which I didn't finish, but, you know, like what, you know, how would you navigate that?
Yeah, this is a tough question because
it is. That's why I'm giving it to you.
Yeah, thank you.
You can handle it.
Well, because I'm a college professor, so it would be the instinct for me to tell you that you need to go to college. When I went to college, I had no intention of getting a degree from community college because I knew that the only degree that counted was the one from the university. With that being said, There's certifications that people can get now through personal growth opportunities like Construction Management Online, or extension programs like CSU, East Bay, or UC Davis Extension, both of which that I also teach for. And so those opportunities are able to be done when someone is working. This idea of guided pathways and steering 17 and 18-year-olds into a profession that has a certain amount of maturity necessary in order for them to be able to not just navigate construction, but to navigate the diverse personalities that we have in the industry. And I love construction, but on the job site, there are different personalities that come into it. We have people who are finding reentry from being in prison. We have people who have alcohol issues. We have people who have pain issues. We have people who have mental issues. We have people who are homeless. Because the entry into construction can be very easy with just your hands and being.
Well, and what a construction workers, what were they considered always? The black sheep.
Yeah.
The ones that didn't pay attention.
Yeah. And just a grunt.
Yeah.
You don't need to be smart to do it. I mean, I've handled the shovel for a long time. I know if you don't handle that shovel right, you're not going to feel good at the end of the day.
So, so
there's a little more to it.
Different type of skill set, and we need it all.
But the thing is that when you try to push an 18-year-old into this, like when my dad was 14, he was the maturity of an 18-year-old. All of his buddies went off to war. I mean, they were taking care of families. These 18-year-olds are barely out of their parents' homes. They haven't lived on their own. They don't know what resilience is. They don't know what respect is. They don't know what standing up for themselves is. And so to me, college offers more so than the opportunity of being able to learn a specific discipline. That is an umbrella where there's still protection for their safety, but they're able to grow and separate from their parents and be able to go and find their people out there. So I do love college for that, for sure.
Just kind of, there's a lot that goes into it.
There's a lot that goes into it. But if I were to do it all over again, and I knew that I was going to go into the construction management, first thing I would do is find myself a carpenter's union, and I would start being a carpenter's apprentice, and I would want to know everything there was about layout, framing, reading drawings, all of that. And then I would move into a superintendent or construction management. Now, I prefer construction management, but I believe that the industry is moving more towards combining the two of those, and that person is going to have a lot of value in the future is a construction manager who really knows how to put a project together. Yeah, super sub. But the hands-on experience is nothing can beat it.
I know.
Nothing can beat it.
And that might satisfy some of those urges of being naughty and staying out late and partying, where if they work in construction, they got to get up at 3 or 4 in the morning. And there's nothing like using a porta potty when you're hungover. I don't suggest it.
No. Those guys they're resilient. That's part of it, is that
they eat off the taco trucks and they can, and their sandwich in their back pocket at times.
Yeah, the taco trucks are dangerous. I don't know how people do that. But I just I see the brotherhood that's out there. And for young people who don't have a direction, I do love that relationship community that they find out on a job site. But the main thing, find somebody who's doing what you think you want to do and start mimicking steps that they took to get there. That's your mentor. They don't have to have a fancy title. They don't have to be making millions. They literally could be the journeyman who's 2 steps ahead of you, who you're just like, wow, how do I get $45 an hour? And then once you get there, then you're like, oh, wow, I can do more, and then
you actually buy a property and you can do it on your own property.
Build your house. That's the one thing about trades, right? Is that even if you walked away from it at any point in your life, you still have a skill set that nobody can take from you that you're going to be able to apply for the rest of your life. I mean, it is one of the parts of education that you'll never lose. But I will tell you that as a college professor, probably 45 to 60% of my students are older people coming back because the industry has continued with companies that require a degree for upper management positions. And in that requirement, they have to come back to school, get a degree or a certification, instead of finding a way to be able to streamline and educate their internal pool, which already knows their company culture, already knows how their company works, already has had the College of Hard Knocks and has really put in the time necessary. And that's really what I saw as a need when I was at the college and I was teaching. I was like, there's still a disconnect between college and what's going on out in the occupation. So that's why I created Construction Management Online, so that those people could move through that.
Do that personal development on their own in their own time.
Yep.
Which is great. And we offer our series here at the Builders Exchange. Once a month on Tuesdays in the evening, and we feed you, and you can go home with more knowledge and apply it to your lives and your business and however it seats, in your world.
Well, and super reasonable.
Yeah.
I mean, the cost of it literally pays for half an hour of what I normally have to charge when I'm doing it.
You do a great job for that, to be able to offer that and get the foot in the door. And again, it's that personal development and professional development that they can take back and apply to their careers or businesses as they can.
Well, and they can come to the class with their problems.
Yes.
And we can break it down and right then and there.
Because it might be something someone else is struggling with and they don't know how to put it into words, or they're nervous about.
Somebody else is struggling with it. This is what we don't recognize, is that what's happening on your job has already happened 1,000,000 times before. It's going to happen 10,000 times again.
Yeah.
And so
it starts over at each job.
Every job. This is why we all say lessons learned.
Yes.
And then nobody takes that lessons learned and puts it into a collaborative piece of information that everyone can use. And that's what I do with the CM Skill Builder. Is it's a library of resources that goes through those lessons learned for everyone. And then each of those courses is what I'm able to do here. And it's just a mini course, and we try to keep it, as condensed and comprehensive as we can, but we also let everybody talk and ask questions and be able to really resolve real issues.
And you're local and you're easy to get a hold of. We hope you're enjoying this episode of Inside the Exchange, hosted by Builders Exchange of San Joaquin. If you own a construction or service-based business here in San Joaquin County, we help businesses like you through networking, training, insurance, and connecting you with the best jobs available. Click the link below for more information. Now let's get back to the episode.
Yeah.
So when I saw you in Sacramento at Consumers River College, you had the topic of relating the interior, the office, to the overlap or the cohesiveness with the yard or the field work. So the main discussion was just, any communication gap. Well, you don't know because you don't sit behind a computer. Oh, you don't know because you don't sit behind the gear shifter and digging holes and how long and all the elements. Because, when you're sitting behind a computer, you're in air conditioned. You don't know what it's like to be out in the field unless you've come from the field. But there's so many things that go into opening up a trench or, starting that job and getting it going. Like, what other topics, obviously that's a big topic, but and we could talk about that, but what other topics do you find that clash within its own field?
Yeah, well, women and men working together.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a huge one.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be. It really doesn't have to be. My favorite thing about it is recognizing that we really need to find the power in our traditional roles. The roles that women refuse to want to accept, and the roles that men don't really define for themselves. So in traditional roles...
That was really deep. Well, that was really deep. I have to think deep on that one too. Okay, go on.
Well, in roles, for instance, for the men, I call it the 3 Ps, and it's not the P that you're thinking of. The 3 Ps.
What else would the P be?
I'm telling you.
Oh my goodness.
It's productivity. It is. So let me do this again. But it's going to be productivity, protection, and profitability, and those are the 3 things that, based on how good a man is at doing that, is how they've been measured in their manhood, of how good they are.
Okay.
And so that measure of value by identifying how much productivity you're able to get out was okay when the world was full of physical work production taking place.
Yeah.
But now the construction...
And that's how you felt accepted, or that you were accomplishing something.
It's how you felt
stacking that
accepted.
plate high and hearing that productivity. I'm giving my buddy a hard time because you know how we get hard on ourselves and we feel like we don't do enough. But if you're not receiving that same gratification, you're feeling like that, like, what am I not doing? It
doesn't just happen with men, because women, especially women who are in the construction industry, tend to be more masculine in their energy. So when we give that physical expression, we also feel as though we are producing a lot. But then we have to look at the quality of the production. Is that production really getting you to profitability? Is it really getting something done? And in today's world, in modern construction, we're coming up across technology. We're coming up against software. We're coming up against communication, empathy. And these are things where women are naturally good at, being able to take care of everything else that men aren't doing with the linear thinking, focused productivity, production, and profitability. And so when we're able to recognize where we're at, and women can re-engage in their femininity and be excited about their strengths of being multitaskers and being able to pick up all the loose ends and being able to organize and manage and being able to schedule all of the dentist appointments, doctor's appointments, inspector requests, then we can understand that, you know what? Let her do that. She's good at it. Let her do it. I want to stay over here and I want to keep framing. And it gives us an opportunity to be able to lean on other people's skill sets so that we can be doing what we're most effective and efficient in, because it's easy for us. So easy for me to organize and manage a brain, dump. And it's so easy for my husband to organize what a demolition is going to happen. How many
But it
trucks.
benefits you to know what it takes for him to do his job so you can help better organize him. So it's that skill set of putting yourself in the field, learning, and then, so it's a complement of the forces.
It's an absolute complement. And companies are going to start recognizing this, and they're going to do it faster than the men out on the job site. Because we still have a problem recognizing women as co-workers instead of as girlfriends, wives, sisters.
Or how you should look, or how you should talk, or sit, or
and
pose yourself.
And, really, as much as I want to be able to retrain every guy, to me, it's easier for me to retrain me.
And there's a guy going, I want to retrain every girl.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Yeah.
We all want it, but we just,
it's easier for me to know how to engage with that person, for me to learn how I need to get what I need to get out of that person.
Yeah.
And women are amazing manipulators, so we just might be able to make that happen. But these are the skill sets that we want to be able to focus on. And so I do love talking about that topic, because I feel that in many ways we ostracize each other, and that really is the wrong direction to go.
I think once you get that brother and sisterhood collaboration, then I can feel that vibe. Like it's easier for me, or I'm challenged, but it's still easier for me to have that conversation where if it feels like a little like, okay, well, I'm using my femininity, but I'm not flirting with you, then it's kind of like, I don't know how to, but because I am a naturally communicator girl. Yeah. But I also will sit back and educate myself, and I want to hang out with the boys and understand their language and be able to be a benefit to our company, or, to when I was out in the field with my husband. But it's, I don't even know, I'm going off on this tangent, but it's just.
I do know, because sometimes that's how we communicate, is through flirting, through,
but if it's a brotherhood, it's not a weird. They don't take it like you could stay on that level.
They can take it any way they're going to take it.
But they'll
that's the problem.
But you can define it somehow where they won't. A majority of the time.
Can you really?
Feel like,
no.
No?
You can, because they're going to interpret it however they want to interpret it. And it's going to be based on the way they grew up and the way that they've seen interactions.
So maybe I've just dealt with the point where, yes, because I can see that as I'm playing it out in my head, so I'm very visual, is where I could see, like it's going back to where they've been taught. And I think it's a little bit more of an education, or they have a sister or somebody that's a strong woman. And so they have that respect. So it is something that kind of,
you can't be you.
Yeah.
So the thing is that, but you need to recognize immediately, oh, he thinks that this means more. And then in that moment, you need to say, whoa, wait a second. You might be taking this wrong. This is not how I meant for that to be interpreted. This is just my personality. Yeah.
And I'm a lot, but that's okay.
And then from that point, maybe you need to rein it in a little bit or what have you.
Just kind of change the...
Yeah, but it's a difficult line because this is an industry that they're just not used to us being out there. But you know what? There's a lot of industries like that. Doctors and nurses have the same dynamic.
Well, even waitresses, when you go up to a table with a husband and wife, you have to be very careful of you navigate. You can either kind of flirt with it and,
exactly.
Both of them, I would always talk to the female first, but I've had it where, they've only spoke to my husband or just even out in doing stuff when we were remodeling our house. So I'd only talk to my husband and I'm like, oh no, this is part of our navigation together. Like you will direct us both. And it is a turnoff especially when it comes to even like our life insurance or our finances, and they only speak to my husband. And I'm like, I'll walk out of this room because you are not making me feel welcomed.
Yeah.
So there's a level of professionalism, which goes into whether you could take it that far or you can't take it that far, or, it is a constant education. So it doesn't have to just be construction out in the field. It's, if you're working with male and female clients, you have to learn how to navigate. That's a part of your own, whether you go through mentorship or your level of skill set, you need to learn yourself.
Yeah, but I think it's really...
to adapt.
Yeah, to adapt. And I think it's really important about what you're saying is that it happens everywhere.
Yes.
Because I think so often we start saying, well, in construction, they need to do... And all of a sudden, all the men in construction go, whoa, wait a second.
Yeah.
That's not me.
Yeah.
I didn't do that. And they're right, But then the guy that they're digging in the trench next to is doing that.
Yeah.
And so the main thing is men need to step up too.
Yep.
When they see the inappropriate behavior, they can't just sit there and, chuckle under their breath or whatever. They need to be like, whoa, that was not cool.
Yeah.
Like you should not be treating her or talking to her that way.
Exactly.
And so, and again, my dad, my brother, my ex, my current husband, they're all in construction. So it's like...
So you had a plan and you didn't know.
So I've been training forever.
And you're still training. They might be training you, but you're definitely training them.
I'm training them. So the one where we met was called the bridging the gap from site to office. And communication is always huge.
Huge. That's not necessarily the easiest for people. I learn that all the time, even though I'm an over communicator.
Yeah, not in construction, right? Because there's a lot of type A introverts. They're very focused on production. Mm-hmm. They're focused on getting the work done. So when we start doing modern construction and we understand that there's much more planning involved prior to implementation, it's a harder pill to swallow because the guys are sitting here going, wow, I'm being measured on how much I get done, and you're stopping me from getting
You're trying to have
done.
a conversation with me and
and I need to get out there and be moving.
Yes.
But it's moving. It's working smarter, not harder.
Yes.
Is what we really need to be getting to. And so then the other topics that I talk about are, all have construction concepts, but with a twist of adding leadership mindset and behavior comprehension. So we talk about negotiating for change orders. We talk about how to really write an RFI, how to be able to capture potential changes and be able to document those with evidence. And a lot of what I've been...
And be confident with an RFI.
And be confident.
Because here you already have an engineered stamp plan and you're assuming, but that assumption can cost you a crap ton of money.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And AI is going to change everything in construction, whether people like it or not. It's going to do it. And the way that I feel about it is education. You might as well get in front of it and design it and customize it the way you want in order to be able to stay ahead of the game. So I have been spending a lot of time in trying to understand how to practically apply AI to construction tasks. And so I teach on that as well. But it's just we never stop learning. Like just being able to be passionate about teaching and passionate about construction and just really passionate about the opportunity to let a community of people who are often looked down upon or often looked at
not taken seriously,
or that they're just not smart enough,
or ADHD, or can never sit in a chair, or start a project, but then they want to. I mean, and that kind of goes with construction, and that's why you have the different levels and the different scopes of work. Where if they are ADHD, they can start it, but then now get them on a new project so they can put all the energy to starting something else, but they're not the finisher.
Right. And that's one thing I think that's going to change with construction is we're going to start taking away these titles and start really focusing more on people's skill sets. And somebody who's like that, I'm going to set them in the middle of the construction phase of every construction project. And then I'm going to find your best finisher who's really good at that skill set. And I'm going to do that. But I just think it's just so important for us to recognize that we just really always need to be learning. We always need to stay open to our learning and just know that everyone's they're worth it. Even if they think that they're not smart enough to do it, it's because they've been put into a thinking pattern that they learned in school in a box with 30 other people, and they learned a little bit different. And the purpose was because that teacher didn't have time to selectively teach that one person, even though in woodshop, when there was only 5 of them, they did really well.
And I think it's going to be even something more that we'll navigate with, because school is become so, as a parent, just my reflection of it, it's about the testing, and about this category and this category. And it is easy just to throw a kid into your ADHD or, and then you have COVID. My 9-year-old is a COVID preschooler. So he missed that whole facial expressions because you had a mask on or the bumping into each other. So I think you kind of are navigating with, that's going to be an interesting transition down the line, I feel like.
It's a very interesting transition because we have over 5 generations that work on construction sites. So you got some, burly, grumpy old men that are out there who are like, why won't this kid listen to me?
Yeah.
And he's like, he won't even look me in the eye.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because he was in COVID and he didn't know. So that's part of being able to educate people, because if you educate them, then they tend to have a broader level of appreciation and more empathy for understanding. Oh, okay, now I understand.
We don't make it about ourselves all the time. I think that's what we tend to do is like, what am I doing wrong? Or how am I, and or even like they're not doing what receptive to me, but it's not about me or it's about, how they're interpreting it too.
Yeah, I agree with you, but at the same time, I'm really big on accountability. Yeah. And if somebody's not understanding it, then you need to look at you and how you're presenting it. So I'm really big on that, especially in the Executive Edge program that I teach. Like, you have to take responsibility for how you're educating and training and bringing up your succession plan, which hopefully is within that company so that people don't have to go back to college, when they're 50 or 60 years old. They've already earned those units out on the job site and they're able to work up into a position. And again, not everybody is meant to promote up to a management position. Some people are perfectly fine right in the superintendent spot that they are. And we need to quit telling people that you're only better if you move up.
Yeah. Or laborers. Some people just want an 8 to 5 clock in, clock out. I know what I'm doing. This is my jam. Like, I just want to dig.
I miss those days really bad.
Yeah.
I don't have to think.
Worry about all the paperwork.
Just work for 8 hours.
All the tags, everything. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what makes the world go round, is to be able to have everybody kind of just do their best within their scope.
Yeah.
But then that continue education is always a key element. I love to learn. And, when I was out in the field and I would explain to our laborers, you can YouTube this stuff and you can really learn besides what you're learning on the job site, and you can see the bigger picture of it. Because sometimes it's hard to see. When I first started and I was out in the field and I would just see this empty field and I was like, okay. And then, and being underground and having to dive into it. And then just being on these projects and coming back and looking at it and being like, yeah, we did that, or whatever. It's neat to be able to grow. And they might not ever been told that they have that potential. And then it starts happening for them out in the field, and then they flourish. And some just, whatever.
Yeah.
They're fine with what they're doing.
Yeah. Well, and also, again, it's how we're raised. Mm-hmm. So they may not have a vision of what success can look like for them. Mm-hmm. So they may think that they're at their peak, and you might be the one person who ends up stepping in their path that lights an entirely new opportunity for them that they didn't know that they were capable of.
Absolutely true. Yeah. That's neat. Well, is there anything else you want to talk about? How are we on time?
Doing good. We're at 40 minutes roughly.
40 minutes. So what other, let me think. So we have our women in construction. We've talked about our topics, and we look forward to having our event next year, and then starting off with just little meet and greets. We were talking about doing some self-defense and finance, because typically that was something that you had talked about where, you're the homemaker, you might not necessarily, then you get going to any type of field and you want to learn that part, like kind of some of the things that you stumble upon and you weren't aware of, that would be instrumental, key for you to know. But what else do you think we can dive into with the women in construction? It's just...
I don't necessarily know women in the construction, but we can definitely talk about your trade day and how you guys supported the education of young people.
So being your first year really, really being involved with the exchange here locally in San Joaquin County, how did you feel when you went out to our trades day that we had at September at Delta College?
I didn't really go.
Oh, I thought you were there.
No. Oh. But
bloopers are real. But you've been a part of it. Like you weren't necessarily there for the day, but you see.
So, for instance, I have it's called The Rise of CM Sally, which is just a little storybook. But I
have one here.
I just finished the Rise of CM Charlie.
Oh yes.
Okay. So, for instance, I have The Rise of CM Sally, and I just finished the complementary book, which is The Rise of CM Charlie. And this kind of a book complements the opportunity for companies to be able to sponsor and really get the interest of construction moving in the younger generation. Recognizing that we grow up into things. It just doesn't happen. And so if we don't introduce early, we used to be out in the gardens working with mom or out in the garage working with dad. And we just don't get out and work with our hands like that anymore. And so if we can start early and really start teaching.
Because girls typically want to be ballerinas or teachers. They go to school and their activity after school would be ballerina.
Yeah.
So I could see that.
Yeah. And so something like the Trades Day that you offer the high school students here with the Builders Exchange is an excellent opportunity for them to be able to discover different pathways in the construction industry. And that's what we do through the CM Sally book is
just kind of start that, planting the seed.
Yeah, it identifies all of the different occupations. It's not just some guy on a shovel. I mean, we're talking about construction lawyers. We're talking about admin, documentation,
estimators,
document controls, estimators, schedulers, construction managers, field
material,
office managers,
like knowing what the material,
suppliers, salesmen. So there's so many different opportunities. It's just really so important for people to be aware and intuitive to their own personal skill sets that are going to be able to accelerate and really excel in specific pathways in the construction industry.
And I think when you think about too, like I feel like we were exposed to so much when we were younger, whether it was traveling or day trips or, just being exposed to other parents' careers that you were friends with their children. But I think, with our technology, the kids have their face right here, and I don't blame them because they're on a computer at school. They're used. I mean, that's their world. They're not seeing everything. So to be able to take them to this event at Delta College, highlight the different programs, because they're really just thinking black or white. They're thinking I'm college or I'm not, and then I have to go get a job. So, but is it a job? Is it something that I really want to do within my profession? Is it something that is passionate to me? And they don't know. They just do these entry-level jobs, which we need everybody in these different type of professions, whether, but is it necessarily what they are going to find intriguing?
And the thing is that
and start that skill set.
We don't always start with everything that we love. It's small sacrifice for large gain.
Mm-hmm.
Like we have to be ready to accept doing things that we don't like. Like we have to be able to do some of the hard stuff to get to some of the good stuff. And one of the things that I really like.
How do you teach that?
How do you teach that?
For the next generation that might not know that.
You teach that by building a destination map so that they can see where the reward is. Because it's easy to get through the fire if you can see the other side and you can see what the reward is. But, when I was 25 years old, I was just going wherever open doors were. I didn't know what was on the other side of the door, and had I known that, I might have chosen to go through a harder door that was only half open if I knew it was going to get me a more streamlined alignment to where I wanted to go instead of side passing and going through a bunch of open doors. It was an easier road, but it was much longer.
Mm-hmm.
And so being able to, one of the fun things that I love about being a teacher is also understanding some of the mathematics and the science behind it, and understanding that with that trades day, you're actually having students put things in action. And what people don't really always understand is that when you have emotion, whether it's joy or fun or fear or freedom, in the action of actually hammering a nail or doing something where their endorphins can kick in and their chemical response, this is what really inlays the information and the desire and the passion to do something. And this is why, even though it was hard work, working with Dad all day long, it felt good at the end of the day because I had the love of my father in the chemical soup that was around me, that I was doing this hard work. So then when I actually got to do the hard work in construction, it was easy, so.
Well, I think fear, definitely with having a teenager, I think the reality of not seeing all the bloopers when they're on YouTube or, they just see the finished product. They just see that it's perfect. I look at girls these days and I'm like, man, they got better hair and makeup than I do. But it's a surface level and how to get past that fear of failure and keep striving. And those failures are kind of put in place for a reason because you got to fall sometimes just to pick yourself back up. But it's how you pick yourself back up, further it, and get through it and not run away from it.
Well, I think that's the key is by redefining fear. So it's not really fear or failure. It is an opportunity for new growth. And so being able to recognize that you might not get it done the exact way you thought it was supposed to get done, but it'll get done.
Kind of like your open doors.
Yeah.
Like we all had our path for a reason. And it's that trust of having that path.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's much easier to do in reflection when our life looks pretty amazing where we're sitting right now.
You're still breathing and,
Yeah. But to an 18-year-old, you're like, man, that mountain.
And then you have to remember that because, 4 years in high school felt like a lifetime, and the thought of going, financially for school for another 4 years was just like really overwhelming for myself. But, being able to strive through.
Because look at what you just said, financial for 4 years.
Yeah.
Like we've been telling you it was 4 years forever. So who said it has to be 4 years? You don't have to put yourself in that kind of financial situation. Take 2 classes a year.
Yep.
And the reason why I feel that it is so important for people to go to college and get a degree, first and foremost, the reason why college costs so much is because of the number of changes that a student makes in their path. So when they make a change, they have to go backwards 2 steps, take some other prerequisite courses, and then restart their path again.
Yeah. I started with international business.
Yeah.
International business to child development, and then with the nutrition minor.
And all of those would have been
was an RDA.
But all you needed was the degree.
Yeah.
Because really a lot of these companies just want to know that you were doing something, that you completed, met a goal, and now you're ready to head off. Now, I'm not saying that you won't get better jobs or you won't be better if you have construction knowledge and education, but what you do in your life structures you for construction. That's why I tell all of my students, if you don't know what you're doing, you better be in construction management, because it teaches you how to manage your life. If you can manage your life, you can manage a project. You can manage your schedule, you can manage your calendar, you can manage your finances, you can learn how to communicate, you can schedule what you're doing, you can estimate your grocery bill. Like everything in construction management,
You apply to
your life. So if you don't know what you want to do, then do it in construction management, get a degree in it. If you want to be a doctor, then you're going to have to take a different path.
Yeah.
But if you want to be a coach, a football coach, finish the path that you're on. Don't start switching your paths in order to try to meet a new direction. And so that's really important. I got my degree's in animal science. Never once, ever, has anybody asked me what my BS from Texas A&M was in. And for a long time, it was the #1 construction management school in the United States, and I didn't know. But it was on my resume. And if anybody did ask, I mean, animal science has a very good comparison with a lot of the men that are out on those job sites. So I had all of the background education that
You're
I
just
needed.
not checking their temperature.
Just not checking their temperature. But I think that that's what's really important is for people to understand that when you get sucked into these societal norms of you have to take 4 years for college, you have to have a degree.
I think because I always just knew I had to go to college. Like it was just in my...
Well, and it was for my dad. My dad never went to college. So since I was in kindergarten, it was fed into me, you're going to college. Like I did not know there was any option after high school. Yeah.
It wasn't having kids and getting married. It was you're going to college and then you figure it out after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting navigating. And it's neat. I think it's so neat to be a mentor, especially with the future women. And just, I have spoke to multiple students in the, wanting to get into the industry, but being able to talk with them about some of the challenges and hurdles or just the excitement and ways to kind of get your feet wet. It's neat. It's neat to be able to kind of see their light bulbs go off and see the potential. And like you said, they're still kind of lost. Like, I don't know what I want to do when I grow up. So I always started that way, it just, that's the entrepreneur in me, but I just, it's just being able just to be that suggestion.
Well, that suggestion. And I mean, now there's so many more women in construction than there was when I started. And now those women have support systems. So it's not only just being a mentor in being able to provide some guardrails of, how you do this job. It's about how to function in life. How do you create independence and financial stability and, still be able to, have a partner and be in love with a man but still have control of your money and your understanding of the house finances. And, it's, and still, what I used to always really love is I had to be so strong when I was on the job sites that by the time I got home, I just wanted to be a woman. I just wanted to be someone that a man wanted to take.
You don't make all the big decisions.
Yeah.
You just
Now,
want to cook or something.
The subservient part I had a problem with. But other than that,
I struggle with it too. I'm like, I love being told what to do when I go to the gym, but not at home.
Yeah.
It makes it much easier to go to Orange Theory and have my whole gym mapped out. But do I want you to navigate anything else? No. I'll figure it out.
Yeah. And so that part of it, was really nice. But I also didn't have any female mentors, any role models or any support. And as a matter of fact, like I said, it was very conflicting between the women that were out on the job site and the women that were in the office, because there was a lot more women.
Oh, definitely. And I would say, I think the roles within women in the office previous to where they are in roles now, where they're in estimating, there is a different sense of, before it would have been so foreign. It would have just most likely been the owner's wife or the administrative assistant, or, now they have more roles. So I would say that's probably a huge thing too.
Yeah. Yeah. And so we're there to support each other. So it's really exciting.
And we need to be. Like, there's a sense of responsibility that goes into it as well.
Yeah.
Because we have that experience.
Yeah. But it is exciting to see the growth of women in the industry being able to be more confident that this is a place for them. And especially with I was a single mom for 5 years with 2 growing boys, and being able to be financially independent and not be stuck in a marriage because of finances or anything. I mean, construction has offered me an absolutely beautiful life.
And the skill, I've talked with multiple women in construction groups and talked to women that are interested and intrigued of starting a training program within the construction industry, is childcare. Because one of the biggest issues would be childcare. And if your kiddo's sick or this, that typically falls on the shoulders of the mom. And that's just the way it is. But just having 3 people on plan, like, I would really love to get into it, or something I've always wanted to do, but I just don't have the childcare. Well, there's resources. There's tons of resources out there. How can we help? How can we get you aligned, and then get 3 or 4 backup plans?
Well, and when you say, how can we help, you're talking about the Builders Exchange. Like, you offer those kind of services for people. Or if you don't know, you'll find someone who does. I know that in the women's group, they were talking about specific grants just for that. So, and there was nothing I ever had.
Yeah. And we have great programs here, whether, it's through any of the programs that we do. We're doing the Adopt a Child right now, and through Child Abuse Prevention, they have multiple child care facilities. We've got family resource and referrals. I can give you a list. So just always having, instead of saying, I don't think I can, or I don't think it would work, or I don't have anyone to watch my kids, it's put that out there and we'll find a system in place.
I think this is the one thing that is so different about construction than it is any other industry, is the words I can't, I never hear. Like, if you're in construction, it can be done and we will figure it out. And I think that's the one thing that I love so much about construction, is I'm working with a bunch of people that are not quitters. Like, these are people that,
because there's a timeline, there's a deadline, there's
a schedule.
It's got to get done.
Only so much money, and it has to get done. So that it's not, how is it going to get done, or what if it
Believe
gets
me,
done?
the ones that I've ever heard say I can out in the field were typically not ones that stayed in the field. That were not out in the construction industry. Because you're right, it is a problem solving. And you can't linger on a job. You got to keep moving. If one of those type, then it's just really not. Maybe the desk job is more. And then find within your niche that you can do. Yeah. No, that's neat. And I've been so blessed and thankful for you to be a resource to the exchange and to our members. And that's something that we're always constantly striving. And that's a relationship that you might have someone that you can bring in for another sector. It's always that continuous growth with people, and our, growing our membership and growing our exposure is just, how do we facilitate, the finance part, or, just any type to go get your license or to take the classes, and how can we benefit from that? And that only comes from experts out in the field. So you've been a great asset to the exchange, and Thank you again for all your time, and thank you for offering it to our members at a discounted rate. And whatever we can do to continue that relationship, we are so thankful for. And thank you again. Thank you for everything that you do for the exchange.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate it. And it really is just, you can only offer so much, and that they need to take the next step.
It's growing. It's growing. I know, from our first set of classes to now, and it's going to continue to grow.
Yeah. So I appreciate the opportunity, and I thank you so much for having me as a guest today. This was absolutely amazing.
Well, and again, how many classes do we have left?
We have starting in January, February, March. I think we're skipping March because I think it's a busy month for you.
Yeah, I think there was, because we have our Women in Construction and then our bocce tournament.
Yeah. And then April, May, June, and then we take a break for the summer.
So we have quite a few classes coming up. We do have so that again is our construction management series. And then we have Megan coming in and doing some of the law and the top, I think 7 or 8 topics that have any issues with contractual law. So she can help with. So again, it's just one of those personal and professional developed skills that they can take within the exchange. So thank you again.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you for watching this episode of Inside the Exchange. For more information about becoming a member of Builders Exchange, click the link below. We'll see you in the next episode.